Well, good evening. There is a live look for you over here in downtown St. Louis. And, at this point, everything's looking pretty nice for us around the metro area. There's what we're dealing with looking over at the Enterprise Center. All is fairly quiet there tonight. Don't think our weather is going to be so quiet here, though, as time goes on. So let me just pop in here. We're going to see what goes on here. We pop that on, and there you go. So here we are. We are getting you updated here on what's coming our way. I don't think this is a huge severe weather threat overall as we go into tomorrow night and into early Wednesday. In fact, I know it's not for most of us. But there are some concerns that we have, and it's mainly after sunset here. So Tuesday night, running into the overnight hours, I think your severe weather threat starts winding down after 1 or 2 o'clock at night. But I also think it may very well end up being much farther north of St. Louis, and really, for most of us, not in our area. I think if we do see some thunderstorms that get going, maybe some isolated wind damage, perhaps some hail. But again, the better threats for all of that lying to the north of St. Louis. So know your plan, stay aware. Remember that radar is always available 24/7 here. You pretty much can get it on 5.6, which is one of the over-the-air channels. You can also get it right here streaming. It's in the watch carousel. So you might want to leave that on for tomorrow night before you go to bed. That was the QR code. So a couple of areas to watch here. All right, there's really two bullseyes. One's down in Texas. The other is just to the north and northeast of St. Louis. So those are the two bullseyes from the Storm Prediction Center. So this was issued earlier today. They will come out with another one of these for tomorrow along about 1 o'clock in the morning. So this will get updated again. There may be some shifting. This area that's up to the north of St. Louis here with your level 3 out of 5, which is basically much of northern mid-Missouri, northeast Missouri, west central Illinois, parts of northern Illinois, and into northwest Indiana. That's where the greatest risk for seeing more intense thunderstorms will be, if they can get going and tap into the ingredients. If they don't get going before, 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening and start to fire after that, they're missing out on the opportunity of really getting that action together. So we're still at a level 2, the rest of the area. Bowling Green, northern Calhoun County, northern Greene County, that's where we have that level 3 risk. Again, I bet on that being a little farther north, and as you'll see in a few minutes, the ingredients are certainly there. All right, the ingredients are there, but there's also limitations to that. There is the potential we'll have some damaging winds with some of the thunderstorms, especially in that level 3 area farther to the north. There's also a frontal zone to the north. I think that's a big deal. All right, large hail, that potential's there. Up by the warm front, which is right along the Missouri-Iowa border, stretching into northern Illinois, there's probably going to be some baseball-sized hail going into tomorrow. I don't think that's us. All right, tornado threat greatest to the north. Not that there wouldn't be something around here, but at this point, it's not the most energetic setup for us. A lot of conditional, if this and if that, well, then that might happen, right? This is, for us, it's definitely not a lock. Even for areas farther to the north, it's not a lock. So you're looking here at that boundary to the north of St. Louis tomorrow. This is just one of the high-resolution computer models here. We put this into motion. You can see it's along and north of that frontal boundary, where basically you're looking at the development of some showers and thunderstorms. That's going to determine, if they're on the warm side of the boundary, yeah, they've got some extra instability to tap into. Crossing that boundary, you get into a scenario like we did on Friday, where you can, really enhance that spin. But, here we are, 5 o'clock. What do you see in Missouri and Illinois? Outside of far northern Illinois, we're not seeing much. We're pretty much capped at this point. There are thunderstorms trying to develop in parts of Texas, Oklahoma. We'll watch those. All right, let's go in motion a little bit more, see if we can get it to go. Here it is. The front's coming closer. Now we start to see some development north and west of St. Louis towards 10, 11 o'clock. But we've missed our opportunity for the warmest part of the day, so that extra fuel there. There's still plenty there, but it's not as much as you otherwise might imagine. And then you're going to get into that area where you have areas of rain coming in along and behind the front. I think, though, as we go into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening, then we tend to shift the stronger storms south and east of us for sure. Wednesday, we have the weather impact alert for Wednesday morning because of the potential that we're going to see rainfall that's lingering and lasting through the early morning rush hour. All right, so this is a combination of the jet stream winds aloft. That's what you see there in the red arrows. I only turn them on if they're 50 miles per hour or stronger. So if they're not stronger winds here aloft, you're not going to see it. This is up about 18, 20,000 feet. That's your surface-based shaded area for the storm fuel, the juice, okay, that energy that would fuel storms. And you see how much it's there. There's a lot of red in there, right? So there's plenty of it there for sure. We go a little farther in through time here, and let's see what we get. We're going to push this along. You see how that fuel increases to our north. You're pulling the warm air to the north. So you definitely have the juice. All right. We also see the strongest winds aloft are pretty much more widespread to our north. They're much more patchy coming across the Ozarks. As we go into the evening, we lose a lot of those darker reds. And where you see that leading edge right there, that's where the computer, this particular model, thinks there's rain. So yes, there's still some instability, but what you're not seeing here is the stronger winds aloft. So we're a little out of sync. And again, this is just one computer model, but what it looks like to us is just we're a little bit out of sync on our potential here for the severe weather. Now, as we go into Wednesday morning, we still have, you know, the stronger winds aloft. They're coming in behind that instability for sure. But at that point, you're looking at rumbles of thunder and not likely to be looking at severe weather across our area. All right, let's get a different perspective of this. All right, here's that same model giving us where the showers and thunderstorms will be. Again, all of it's to the north of us here through the day on Tuesday. We have more clouds Tuesday, but we should still make it above 80 degrees. The record high is 86. Don't think we're going there. All right, we go into the evening hours, and there are your storms trying to fire up along the front here back into parts of mid-Missouri. Will the radar look exactly like this? No, but this is a suggestion, and it's a reasonable one, too. There are a few model runs. You know, we have a bunch of these high-resolution model runs. They're called convection-allowing models. And some of them are pretty wonky, and they do their own little thing, and that's fine. They're useful in that we can see which one's doing okay and trying to find out which one might be better. But as a conglomerate, you know, usually there's a couple of them that are way out there and off base, and then there's a little consensus. This seems to be more of what the consensus is, that we would see showers and some rumbles of thunder coming in along about midnight and afterwards, and then take us into daybreak with some downpours. And that would be the rush hour tomorrow morning, or I should say, Wednesday morning. And that's why we have the weather impact alert for Wednesday morning, because you're expecting rain and ponding on the roads, and it's going to be a much slower go. As far as any severe weather threat, that's going to wind down as we lose the heat of the day. So by 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't think we're looking at much. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not at this point confident that you need to even go to bed concerned tomorrow night. The one thing I want you to be sure of is that you are staying aware, that you get another forecast update tomorrow, not only in the morning, but get another one during the afternoon. And then before you go to bed tomorrow, check in one more time, see what the radar's doing. And again, that radar is available 24/7, streaming all the time. That's the QR code. It's right on this stream. It's right at the bottom there. Now, let's see what's next on this thing. We'll come back to this in a second. I want to go find, let's see if we can take this. I think this is the one I wanted to do. All right, so yeah, this is the upper level sounding here. Give me a second, and I'm going to kind of back out of the way, maybe, or maybe not. Actually, let me just do this. Watch this. It's magic. Woo. Okay, so here's your sounding. Now, this sounding, and I got to go into the settings on this just a little bit so that I can make it go up a little bit. We want it to come up to the top because I want to change it. All right, So let's see how far along we can go. That's great. Will it let me go in there and change it? Okay, maybe not. Well, that's not what I wanted, but you're not seeing that. Okay, let me take that off. Well, I don't know that it's going to let me see it. But the one thing I wanted you to notice, I'll put myself back on here. This is a sounding. It's a skew T. The reason it's a skew T is the temperatures here are skewed. They're not, temperatures drop as you normally go off. We've skewed them. But the red line's the actual air temperature. And this is for tomorrow morning, okay? So it's not even later, but this is the last model that was just running. I was hoping to get it adjusted. But tomorrow morning, it has us around 60 in the morning. One thing to note, and it's right here, okay? We have an inversion, okay? So it's warmer, it gets warmer aloft than it is at the ground. And what happens through the course, even you see it there, it says severe, SVR, there's a lot of juice out there for this thing to work with if it wants to get going. But here's the thing, there is this warmer layer aloft. And think about it, when you're trying to make air rise, you want the air to be warmer inside your little bubble that you're brazing than it is on the outside so that it keeps going up. Well, when it encounters warmer air that's warmer outside of it than the bubble, it sinks. And I think that's where we're going with this storm tomorrow. All right, so we only got about 3 more minutes here. So let's pop back over here. And let's go back over here. This is what's been going on this evening. Showers and thunderstorms all been to our south. There's been some pretty good downpours, nothing all that, impressive. But there are some lower clouds that we've been dealing with here down to the south of St. Louis and southern Illinois. It wasn't as bright there as it was around the metro area. I think we'll see some of that try to creep in overnight tonight, partly cloudy skies. But otherwise, it's pretty quiet. You see, we've only dropped to 71 degrees this evening in St. Louis. Columbia was at 80 today. Look down towards Springfield. They stayed in the 70s. A lot of spots. So all these numbers are way above average. I mean, Chicago was in the 70s for us today. So that's pretty huge. We look out to the west here. And again, it's not the most favorable setup for severe weather. It's a setup. You still have the spin in the lower levels there, in the upper levels of the atmosphere that's down there in the lower part of the Baja. So that's going to come in. That's what's going to inspire what's across Texas. And then we have the jet stream winds here just kind of plowing in to the Pacific Northwest. I think that's what we'll be dealing with. These two things are not really going to phase all that great over the next couple of days. That's why you had one area down in Texas that's a focus for severe weather, and then the other area north of St. Louis that's a focus for severe weather. And I'm not sure, to be honest, that either one of those areas is going to produce a huge amount of severe weather for us tomorrow. And I think most people would be okay with that, don't you? All right, tonight we're going to stay in the 60s. You'll have some clouds coming and going, especially south of St. Louis. We also have a breeze staying up out of the south, and it is a bit gusty. So you kind of keep that in mind. As we go into tomorrow, I don't think we have any big problems tomorrow. We have a mix of sun and clouds, at times heavier dosage on the cloud cover for tomorrow, and our temperatures go back into the mid-80s. Our weather impact alert time frame here, well, that is going to be for your Tuesday night and on into Wednesday morning. And again, not everybody's going to get a lot of rain. Not everybody certainly is going to get severe weather, but that opportunity does present itself, especially north of St. Louis, for the severe weather for later tomorrow evening. Again, just stay updated on the forecast. Going into the weekend, another rain chance here rolling around by Sunday, and then it gets pretty chilly to start next week. It looks like St. Patrick's Day in St. Louis is going to be a chilly one, but right now, it does look dry.